What is good, Straw Hat Crew, and welcome back to another video. You already know, it's a banker. Without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. Alrighty, and for today, we have the worst way Cartel undercover agents were killed. It's gonna get wicked, you already know. The Cartel, they be getting wicked with it. By the Red Stick Man. Go ahead and drop a like. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Kiki Camarena. In 1980, 33-year-old DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena moved with his wife and 3 sons to Guadalajara, Mexico, for a posting at the DEA office there. The city was the heart of the Guadalajara Cartel, run by Rafael Caro Quintero and Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, who were shipping tons of marijuana and cocaine into the United States. Camarena's job was undercover narcotics work, blending into bars, ranches, and backrooms, using fluent Spanish and street slang to move through the same spaces as traffickers without standing out.
Bro, you already know that's like the most nerve-wracking shit in the world, bro. Like, you're going to sleep and you're thinking, yeah, bro, somebody's gonna find out about me and fucking take my dome off, man, while I'm sleeping. It's over with. They got to fucking kidnap me while I'm sleeping, bro. It's fucking cookies. Like, that's a stressful-ass job. It's like being a surgeon, but even more, I don't know, probably even more stressful.
Over the next few years, he and pilot Alfredo Zavala built a clearer picture of the cartel's operations, often flying over remote areas of Zacatecas to log hidden airstrips and guarded compounds. On the ground, Camarena listened as cartel growers bragged about a massive operation protected by authorities. By late 1984, his reports led Mexican federal police to Rancho Bufalo, a 1,300-acre marijuana plantation. In November 1984, around 450 Mexican soldiers backed by helicopters descended on Rancho Bufalo. They destroyed roughly 4,000 tons of high-grade cannabis and seized more. In total, crops worth an estimated $8 billion, about 1/3 of the U.S. marijuana supply at the time. The bust cost cartel leader Caro Quintero at least $50 million personally, and soon he realized the man responsible, Kiki Camarena. On February 7th, 19...
Why are you still there, Kiki? You should have been done got out of there, bro. Why are you still in the area? You said my job's done? The plantation over... Not the plantation. The motherfucking, the acres over there? The 1,000 acres? Yeah, that's where they have all the weed at.
1985, at about 1 p.m., Camarena left the U.S. consulate in Guadalajara to meet his wife for lunch. He was 3 weeks away from a transfer back to San Diego. A corrupt employee inside the consulate helped cartel gunmen identify him as he stepped onto the street. 5 armed men forced him into a car at gunpoint and drove off.
It be your own niggas, bro. It be your own niggas. This nigga, they probably worked together. They probably worked on a case. He was probably part of the snitching. And then he was like, there he is right there. Go ahead and get his ass. Bro, and they're about to do him so bad.
Camarena's pilot, Zavala, was seized that same day. Both men were held at a house on Lope de Vega Street, owned by cartel leader Ernesto Fonseca Carrillo. Inside, the men dragged the agents into a room, tied their hands and sat them in chairs. At the same time, cartel bosses and the corrupt head of Guadalajara's secret police circled them, repeating the same questions about raids, informants, and which officials in Mexico were helping the DEA. Every time they thought they were holding back, someone stepped forward with a tire iron and slammed them into their heads and ribs. Then another man pressed a lit object to their skin, burning them while they moaned and struggled to breathe. When they started to drift out, a doctor knelt beside them and pushed stimulants straight into their chests so their hearts would kick hard and drag them back awake, just so the torture could continue. By the time the beating finally stopped, more than 30 hours had passed. Roughly 2 days after the kidnapping, Camarena and Zavala were dead. Weeks later, search teams digging on a ranch miles from Guadalajara pulled out 2 plastic-wrapped bundles. The men were blindfolded, bound, gagged, and marked head to toe with the fractures, burns, and crushed bone from the torture they had endured for what he knew as an undercover agent, Barry Seal. By the
Bro, so you're telling me these niggas were about to pass out from the torture. They said, nah, doc, go ahead and give them the stimmy boost. Wake them niggas back up. We got more work to do. You can't even pass out. Oh, yeah, these niggas is different, bro.
early 1980s, Adler Berriman Barry Seal was one of the Medellin cartel's main smugglers, flying cocaine from Colombia into the United States and earning tens of millions of dollars as a trusted transport pilot for Pablo Escobar's network. He had started out as a gifted young pilot from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, flying solo as a teenager and later working for Trans World Airlines, but step by step slid from covert work into full-time drug trafficking, eventually moving an estimated 56 tons of cocaine into the country. In 1984, his run collapsed when DEA agents caught him on a single heavily loaded flight carrying about 462 pounds of cocaine with a street value of roughly $168 million, enough to justify a life sentence under normal circumstances. Facing that reality, Seal chose cooperation over prison and agreed to work undercover for the DEA, continuing to fly for the cartel, but now with hidden cameras and recording equipment on his planes. Agents...
I'm not gonna lie, bro. The Pablo Escobar? You gonna try to turn on the Pablo Escobar? Hey, I don't know, man. I might have just took the time. I might have just took my time, bro. But that's a life sentence, though. Shit, no. You might, because if you get caught, you're gonna get tortured. You already know that. You know they're going to do you so bad, and you're going to die anyways. But if you don't get caught and the DA gets Pablo Escobar, then you get off. Plus, you probably won't get that many years. It's a very, very tricky situation, but I'm probably going to be a undercover as well.
Fitted his aircraft with advanced radio systems, and the CIA later added secret cameras, so that to the Medellin cartel, he still looked like the same smuggler, while in reality he was collecting inside evidence. In 1984, Seal flew a mission to Nicaragua, where the hidden cameras captured Pablo Escobar and other Medellin members loading cocaine onto his plane, alongside Nicaraguan Sandinista officials. Those photographs ended up on President Ronald Reagan's desk and were later shown publicly as proof of a link between traffickers and the Nicaraguan government. For the cartel, that was pure betrayal. Their trusted pilot had turned into a star witness for the DEA and helped embarrass them on the world stage. They put a bounty on his head, $500,000 if he was killed, reportedly up to $1 million if they could take him alive to Colombia. On February 19, 1986, Seal drove into the parking lot of the Salvation Army Center on Airline Highway for a required 6 p.m. check-in for the U.S. Army. About 30 seconds after he parked, a car that had been watching from the lot moved into position, and a Colombian hitman stepped out with a suppressed MAC-10 submachine gun. The gunman fired multiple bursts into Seal's car window, hitting him 6 times, 3 shots to the head and 3 to the chest, killing him almost instantly.
I mean, bro, what were we expecting? I said that. You gonna die one way or another, nigga. You are going to die. Either you gonna die in prison, you gonna die by Pablo Escobar's hands by that torture method, or he gonna a nigga gonna get sent out on you. You are going to die. You not making it, bro. Like, once you do something like this, you gotta go straight into witness protection, bro. Move me to a whole different place. Get me a whole different name. I might need to get some cosmetics done. I gotta get everything, bro. For real. Cause just driving around like I didn't just fuck over the most biggest grain lord in the entire world. Like, bro.
Investigators later tied the killers to the Medellin cartel and convicted 3 Colombian assassins, but one question never fully went away. How did they know exactly where and when a DEA informant with a cartel bounty would be sitting in his car, alone and unprotected in a supposedly controlled environment at a U.S. Army facility? The Tláhuac lynching. On the afternoon of November 23, 2004, three police officers named Cristobal Bonilla Martin, Edgar Moreno Nolasco, and Victor Mireles Barrera drove an unmarked gray Ford Focus into the Peña Alta neighborhood of San Juan Ixtayopan on the southern edge of Mexico City. They weren't in uniform. They were working undercover near an elementary school, tasked with parking nearby, taking photos, and gathering information on dealers who were selling drugs around children. To residents, especially parents who had already heard rumors about child kidnappers targeting the area, the scene looked very different. They saw three unknown men in plain clothes sitting in a discreet car near a school and pointing cameras at children. As the men stepped out with cameras, neighbors saw them pointing their lenses toward the school and panicked. People rushed out of their homes and shops, shouting that the child kidnappers had come back. Within minutes, the street was packed with hundreds of residents sprinting toward the three officers, who retreated and tried to hide inside their unmarked Ford Focus. The crowd surrounded the car, rocked it violently, smashed the windows, and then dragged the officers out onto the...
Hey, whoa. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, I'm telling y'all right now, get off my car. Get off my car. It's about to be a clavicular moment. Like, get the fuck off of my car, bro. Dead ass. I'm not playing with these. Especially, I know I'm not doing nothing wrong. Yeah, I'm not playing with these niggas, bro. I'm over here trying to do a mission. Y'all over here pulling me out my car and shit. Like, hell no, bro. I'm running niggas
the
over.
dirt, where they were punched, kicked, and beaten with rocks and wooden boards. Some in the crowd called local TV stations, and news crews arrived to film the scene as the officers, faces swollen and covered in blood, tried to say they were federal police. The mob ignored them and kept pulling them through the streets by their belts and shirts, kicking their ribs and faces until bones gave way. At one spot along the street, attackers doused Cristobal and Edgar in gasoline.
What the fuck? Bro. I mean, if they were child, predators, they deserve that. But, my nigga, you don't know that for, like, bro, that is a weird sight. No, don't get me wrong, like, that is weird. Like, if I just see a nigga just randomly taking pictures outside my door, I would definitely walk up and be like, yo, what the fuck you got going on, nigga? And just, if he drove away, he drove away. But, like, bro, to pour gasoline on niggas you don't even know are 100%, like, you know what I'm saying, actual criminals? You about to light them on fire? That's slightly psychotic.
And set them on
Yeah,
fire.
that's psychotic, bro. I ain't gonna
Victor
lie.
was dragged more than a kilometer downhill toward the town kiosk to be burned as well. But a tactical team finally forced its way through the crowd and pulled him out seconds before it happened. He spent about a month in a coma with shattered bones and permanent disfigurement. Guillermo Calderoni. In the late 1980s, Guillermo Gonzalez Calderoni was one of the most feared police commanders in Mexico. He worked for the Federal Judicial Police and helped arrest major traffickers, including cartel boss Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, which made him look like a ruthless cartel hunter. But behind the scenes, witnesses later said he was also on cartel payrolls, feeding information to traffickers while officially fighting them. By the early 1990s, political fights inside Mexico and corruption cases closing in around him made his position very risky. In 1993, when a warrant was issued for his arrest in Mexico, Calderoni crossed the border and fled to the United States. There, he contacted DEA agent Hector Bareles, who had previously worked with his men, and offered something the U.S. rarely gets: a top Mexican commander willing to talk about how deep cartel corruption went inside the Mexican government. The DEA brought him in as a protected witness and even allowed him to move millions of dollars into the U.S., a sign of how valuable his information was to them. For roughly 10 days, he sat in safe houses and meeting rooms, giving statements about presidents, cabinet members, and security chiefs who, he claimed, were tied to drug money.
Bro, here's the thing, bro. How do you know that this nigga's like, I'm sure there's ways that, I'm saying, detectives are able to tell if people are lying, or I'm sure that's possible, but, like, How do you know this information isn't just like a setup, bro? Like he's just trying to feed y'all shit in order for you guys to get taught into a trap or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I would just be very, very, very cautious that a Mexican official, a high-ranking Mexican official, just came over here and is willing to give up information. But at the same time, he is also being hunted down by his own country, so that does give him a kind of an incentive to want to do that. So he could be telling the truth. I would just be very like cynical. I would be making sure I ask crazy questions.
On February 5th, 2003, Calderoni left a lawyer's office in McAllen, Texas, one of the busiest border towns in the region. In broad daylight, as he walked across the parking lot toward his car, a gunman approached and shot him execution style, then escaped before anyone could stop him. Calderoni died there between parked vehicles, even though he was supposed to be under U.S. protection as a high-value informant. Reports show no one has ever been charged with the murder.
How the fuck does that happen? What is the U.S. doing? Why is everybody under the U.S. protection getting popped? I think them niggas is doing too much, bro. Honestly, why are you leaving your crib? Yo, if I'm a witness protect. Yo, I need some food bro here immediately. I'm hungry as hell. You said why don't I just leave? Man, don't be talking crazy, nigga. There's like 5,000 niggas on my head right now. Don't be talking like that. I'm never leaving. I'm never leaving. If I do, I'm gonna be in my backyard. Hopefully, I have a nice backyard.
Pollo, Almada. On September 26, 2019, federal police raided a house in Zapopan, Jalisco, and arrested 27-year-old Carlos El Pollo Almada Castrillo, the CJN cartel boss who controlled all operations across Guadalajara, Mexico's second-largest city. Almada was lifelong friends with Ruben Oseguera Gonzalez, known as El Menchito, the son of CJN leader El Mencho. The two had grown up together and stayed close, which meant Almada knew Menchito's routines, security details, money movements, and inner-circle conversations that no outsider could ever access. Menchito had been sitting in a Mexican prison since 2015, fighting extradition to the United States for 3 years, while his lawyers kept winning court battles. U.S. prosecutors desperately needed an insider witness who could testify about CJNG operations to finally force Mexico to hand him over. After his arrest, Almada realized cooperating was his only way out of a lifetime behind bars, so he agreed to talk to American authorities and share everything he knew about Menchito's organization. That testimony gave prosecutors the evidence they needed to pressure Mexico into action. On February 21, 2020, Mexican officials walked into Menchito's cell.
So, bro, is Mexico... Well, okay, America's corrupt too. Like, don't get us wrong. There's definitely some rats in America's government for sure. If you think there's not, yeah, you're fucking crazy. But Mexico just seems like they got all the rats in their shit. They got more rats in their shit than they have actual fucking political leaders. Like, damn. I understand why the country is so fucking the way it is. I mean, it's not even bad per se. I mean, it is pretty bad. But,
handcuffed him and put him on a plane to Washington, D.C. to face drug trafficking charges in U.S. federal court. Inside the CJNG cartel, leaders quickly suspected Almada had provided the key information that broke the extradition logjam after years of delays. Just 8 days later, on March 5th at around 11 a.m., guards at Puente Grande Maximum Security Prison opened Almada's cell door and found his body hanging from a bedsheet tied to the ceiling grate right next to the toilet. The death certificate said mechanical asphyxia by hanging, but officials never clarified if it was suicide or murder, and they stayed silent about how it happened in one of Mexico's most secure facilities. Mexican intelligence believed El Mencho ordered the hit through operatives already inside the prison, staging it as suicide to send a message to anyone else thinking about cooperating.
Oh, nah. These niggas is tweaking. That's why you never want to go to the fucking Mexican cartel, bro. These niggas be twacked out. How did they get a fake suicide? They killed that nigga. I know they did. That nigga did not kill himself, bro. After snitching on his best friend. He's trying to get not life.
She call me Luda, bitch, I roll out with my shooters. She wanna fuck me in a Plymouth Barracuda. I got